simps, virgins, and peasants. And welcome back to Krown's magical redemption cave.
What the fuck was that? We talked about new introductions, sir. But I guess it can be forgiven today, as Elsa's back is actually still hurting. But anyways, welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a glorious Friday morning over here as Bitcoin puts in its first attempt at a major, massive bottom, and there is plenty to talk about on the higher term timeframes and the lower term timeframes right now as well. So today's video, I do want to focus actually a little bit more on the shorter term timeframes and kind of give a general overview of what I'm looking for on the macro right here, because while things are seemingly putting in a nice bottom for now, I would still hesitate on having major optimism with that for the more long term. But for now, good. And we got plenty to talk about on that. Anyway, see a lot of familiar faces. Holy shit, man, we got 100 people watching right now. That's amazing. Good morning to everyone out there in cryptocurrency land. That is incredible. Thank you for the 217 likes on the video. That is very much and well appreciated. I see we got our lovely moderation crew here. It's like a full house actually. We got African Crypto Worldler, we got Nikki Page, we got Rocky G, he's back, baby. Or no, Rocky G's always here, but Randy Fox is also back as well. I don't know if he's actually here today, but all good, man, all good indeed. And I see that we got a lot of familiar faces as well. I see Zuxi, I see Haplon, I see Sean, I see Moonboy Blues. That's a really good name for this market right now, man. Fucking beautiful. Capo Tico, I recognize you, brother. I recognize you. A good friend in the Discord now. Justin Young, there he is. We got a Dingo ate my Satoshis. As always, a phenomenal name. Zam, hit the like. I would appreciate that. Gorilla Quipser, what's up, man? Another OG of the cave as well. Durian, we got Nice Kitty with the emoticons. Beautiful. Techno, there he is. Luna killed the rest. Yeah, man. Luna not to the Muna, Luna to the fucking Flora. And now a lot of crypto influencers are going to have a lot to be speaking for, because there was, for whatever reason, like a weird sort of, it really seemed to me like kind of a weird conglomerated like shill attempt for that particular project. Anyways, I don't really want to talk about that sort of a thing right now, because I am, who knows what the hell actually went on over there. And more importantly, I'm not one to judge in that case as well, because I haven't really been following it too much. But man, there's been some very interesting things that have been posted my way. I'll just put it that way. Willis, Hopium, what's up, man? Brooke Diamond, good morning to you as well, man. Attillo, Tamir. Hey, Bills are out. Bills? You mean the Buffalo Bills? Nice one, man. Manny Patrice, good morning to you as well. Crypto Med, Migto, Biological, Man on Fire. We always used to play a game, name your last pee or poop with a movie title. Man on Fire was always mine, and Black Hawk Down. Fucking beautiful, man. Anyways, I expect that there's gonna, and Matador MC, what's up, man? All stay for the cave anthem, my fucking man. And KGO, good morning to you as well, man. Felt him up. Dane Muzz, dear Lord, man, this is a good morning. I can see that everyone's kind of interested in the market right now, seeing as we do have some pretty volatile moves in both directions here. But for right now, it does kind of look to me that Bitcoin's put in a pretty good low for now. And if it is going to roll over, it probably takes some time. Hopefully, at least take some time. That'd be really, if Bitcoin can't bounce off of this like a little bit more into the $30,000 territory, that would be a very, 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 very concerning signal. Long term, anyways. Long Luna says Tony Tone. This is not financial advice from me, man. But fair enough. Do whatever you're gonna do. That is, I'm sure, gonna come up many times within a stream like this today. But realistically, that is a more fundamental driven thing right now. And from what I understand, that one might actually be death spiraling for as far as time can see. At least for a long time now. We need a big bounce from here, says Nikki Page. We don't need anything. We just need trade setups, my good friend. I was going to call you my good girl. It's like, that doesn't sound right in my head. So I think I'll pivot to my good friend. Anyways, and Seneca, what's up, man? Coin $0 and a month. I haven't even bothered checking in on it, but I imagine it's in the dumpster where it probably belongs. I think it's like back down around where people actually invested in it from like the angel rounds at this point. Crypto Chrissy, good morning to you as well. Yeah, I'm happy to be here too. It's it's a nice and fun morning. Yesterday I was actually a lot more active. This morning hasn't really been as certainly not as active actually, although I probably will get hit for a trade here on stream relatively soon, so should probably prepare for that. Actually, let me just adjust this over here. That'd be a good idea while we're here. Nice one. But yeah, plenty to talk about today. Mr. Venegas, there he is. Yeah, hope everyone's having a great morning. Hope everyone's having a nice and safe week at minimum. This one, I was actually quite, look, I'm going to say something that might be a little bit on edge here, but I would say I was actually really, really proud of a lot of people in the Discord, especially throughout this whole move, like the last couple weeks here. It seems like people really not just been like, not getting wrecked by it, but actually making a shit ton of money off of it as well, which is fucking phenomenal to see, man. This has not been an easy market. This has been a pretty brutal one, but I suspect that the people who've been here for the past few years now, you're basically, you've got baptized in blood. So now this is like second nature to you. Probably not even that big of a deal. And here we go. Let me just adjust this over here. Okay, beautiful. And let me I would like to take profit on that, please, sir. Thank you. All right, nice one. Okay, and hey, nice. Good way to start the fucking day, baby. Good way to start the fucking day. All right, lovely. That is what I like to see. Okay, cool. Let me just, I need to work on some of this caffeine over here. I know that's going to massively piss some people off. So just a warning, just a fucking warning, but it is coming. As we slurp on down that good old black gold there. Anyways, I am waiting to get out of this. Come on, baby, come down and hit me. Just like Batman, like, come on, hit me. It's like, it's great for trading. It's also great for masturbation as well. And are we out? We're out. Nice, fucking nice, baby. That's the way to start the day. Okay. I'll take it. Thank you very much, market. And let's get back onto the stream over here. Yeah, Sippy Sip time. RIP Luna. Yeah, man. Jesus Christ. Like, I actually took a punt on Luna yesterday. I was like, you know what, man? It's literally at 1 cent. I think I'll just like throw $1,000 at it and see what the fuck happens. And, like, as soon as I entered the trade, I actually got hit on it at like just above 1 cent on Bybit. And like about half a minute after that, after I got hit on it, it just disappeared. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, where did it go? I didn't get a liquidation warning. It just literally got delisted from Bybit. I'm like, what happened to my position? Where is it? Doesn't matter, man. It was a fucking gamble, anyways. I've very, 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 very rarely do shit like that, but in that case, very, very bizarre, man. Anyways, this is a good point to shill Bybit. Okay, if you want to get your positions just taken out, then go check them out. Of course, we have a link in the description below. As always, man, I'm just having a bit of a laugh with it, bit of a joke. I do not suggest leverage trading if you are not if you don't have some sort of a seasoned strategy, something that you've actually backtested and spent a lot of time with, preferably on a. Sir, are you okay? Preferably on a testnet account, which you can do for free on Bybit actually as well in several exchanges. Pretty much any exchange, or just the good old-fashioned pen and paper is what I would really, really suggest. And hey, if you can make it work there, at that point, then maybe consider putting some money at risk. But in any case, it doesn't really in any case, these are not wise things to be doing unless if like you actually have that experience. Again, you don't need to risk financial equity to actually get the necessary experience to become a successful trader, at least in my view. Now, will people actually do that and hold off? Well, hard to say, man. I know I didn't when I first started, so fair enough. Anyways, let's see. Joined in March 2021, says Sean Ginther. Man, you are I wonder what is this like for someone who's completely new right now, or I'd say newish, meaning you entered after, let's say, April of 2020. In this case, I'm curious what a move like this, kind of feels like, because at this point, I imagine many people in this community have lived through many of them now, and it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, to me, I just look at it as opportunity at this point. It's nice. It's very, very nice. Anyways, so strange. I backtested my Luna strategy 100 times. Yeah, that's the thing. There are 10 Sigma events that will naturally happen over time, 100% guaranteed. They don't happen too often, being that they are 10 Sigma events, but they certainly will happen enough, over enough time. And yeah, no strategy is going to keep you safe from that, unless if your strategy was to play the trend, and you would have made a fucking buttload of money doing exactly that, man. Trend trading still one of the best of the best strategies that I think anyone can really pick up, realistically within a couple weeks if you put a bit of study into it. Anyways, a deal says crypto banter wrecked so many people on Luna. I don't know anything about that. I know that they have like a lot of animosity around them. I've also been sent some very questionable things about content that I've had on my channel that seems to, anyways, I don't want to get into that, man. But at the same time, I'd even kind of back them up in a sense. I'd say, hey, is it really their fault if people didn't do their research? Because, For what it's worth, I actually did do a bit of research into Luna after the fact, not obviously not before the fact, but after the fact, just to see from my own eyes. It looked a lot like a fucking Ponzi. It looked a lot like a Ponzi. You know, for all the hate that some like Hex gets, it's actually not a Ponzi, and Luna was. And the funny thing is that the market was looking at Luna as like one of the most legitimate things of all time. You know, perhaps in due to channels like that, but at the same point, people at the end of the day do have to be responsible for their own choices. That's my personal worldview. I know that some people are going to disagree with that out there, but at the same time, it's like you can't be reliant on something like that. You can't be reliant on me. You can't be reliant on anyone other than yourself, because you can always trust yourself and trust that you know your preferences best, and no one else will ever be able to substitute for that, ever, always, and for forever, basically. You know, anything less than that is just, you know, is honestly, in my opinion, a bit of a cop out. Again, you know, take that as you will. I know that they have been accused of, you know, of all sorts of like pretty awful things, honestly. But I'm not going to be the one to push that point, because I don't know. I don't fucking know. And honestly, it's not my business, and I don't actually care. Anyways, KSI lost 2.8 million on Luna. Jesus, man. Pour one out for him. Holy shit. That is, hopefully that's like a small amount relative to his overall equity. But, man, that is, losing money like that is never fucking easy. There we go. Got 300,000 Luna for some change, just out of fun, to say I have a, yeah, I mean, you know, man, if you want to punt some and you really believe in it long term, I mean, maybe it does work out for you. From what I understand, based off of the fundamentals there, it's going to be nearly impossible for it to like really ever do anything interesting to the upside. Like certainly not ever like $100 again, or at least in the next like reasonable amount of time, you know, because they just have to, you know, basically from what I understand is that they print a shit ton more supply in order to sell that, get, you know, regain the peg. Obviously, I'm probably not doing a great job of explaining this, but basically the supply is just going through super inflation, and good luck seeing that one ever back in like double digits, let alone fucking triple digits, you know. Dixie breakout retesting. We can look at that a little bit later. I need to work on this a little bit more. Again, I'm going to apologize to all the people who, for whatever reason, this really pisses off, but I do need to get through this one. Coffee has been a very well-needed drug this past week. You know, we only get so many weeks like this per year. I mean, realistically, like 3 to 4 times, I think, at most. And this one was a particularly volatile one. So for me, that's where pretty much all of my business gets done for the year. Like I would say 85 to 90% of my business gets done in weeks like this. Google long-term, Google like the stock. I thought you meant like Google long-term quarterly. I'm like, what? I know what these mean. Quarterly is just a few months. Did you hear of BlackRock being involved in the loot? No, this is all bullshit. I really want to take a strong stance against that. First, no one would ever be able to know for certain that even happened. And second off, probably not. I don't think that BlackRock or any of that or Citadel, whatever the fucking scapegoat is for it, is responsible for it. I think people are just looking for a scapegoat, and those are like very easy to hate firms because, you know, we basically look at them as like the elites and they're keeping us down. They're stepping on our face, and that's why I'm not successful. It's like, dude, that is just a god-awful, terrible view to have on the world. I don't think that you can be successful holding views like that, even if it is true, even if it is fucking true. Anyways, dude, Pitbull went full Alex Jones today. Oh god. You know, it's funny, man. I actually keep close contact with one of the guys from the BitBoy community who I really like. I think he's amazing. He's phenomenal, and everything that I've spoken about him with has come to fruition, basically. But it's I don't know, it's strange, man. Anyways, let's see. Yeah, if you're going to complain about taking a little bit of time, you know, setting up for the stream, fair enough, I understand, but I'm not going to change it, and you can either wait until later when the singular video is uploaded, or you can wait another like 5 minutes or so, or you can stop fucking whining. It's like the things that you always want to say, but you want to be diplomatic about it. No, I understand. Like, people are obviously entitled to, you know, to be to want that, I guess. I'm also entitled to, you know, not do it as well. Anyways, when Do Kwon announced their 3 billion hedge funds were like, see my 10 billion and checkmate. again, even if you are a big hedge fund doing that, first off, you don't know if another bigger hedge fund or a conglomeration of multiple other hedge funds are going to come in and counter trade you. And it's a really, honestly, I think it's completely misguided. And there's absolutely no evidence that even happened to begin with. It's just garbage. People want to sell a narrative because people, honestly, like, look, we've been looking at these fucking things in the charts for a few months now. Did we need to know about these potential stories from beforehand? No, absolutely fucking not. There's no way of knowing that. People just want a narrative to justify why they just lost a shit ton of money to make them feel better. That's the God's honest truth reason why these sort of things get perpetuated. And also, people don't want to take responsibility, right? It's difficult to accept that I might be responsible for my wins and my losses. It's easier to pass that responsibility off to someone else because then I don't feel bad. And we as humans, we want to run away from negative emotions as much as possible. We avoid that to our own demise. Edwin's generation has a really good review here. I'm guessing you're probably from this last 2 years class, and you're saying this move has felt stomach churning, Krown, worse than July 2021 and Russian war crashes combined. Yeah, I'd say it was certainly more intense than the Russian war announcement. July, I thought July was pretty intense, to be honest with you. There he is. What's up, Derek? Embrace your negative, my fucking man. Good to see you, brother. Good to fucking see you. He's the first OG, I think. I think you're OG number one, man. Lillian H says I come here for the conversation. Nice. Well, you're in the right place then. I see Beast Trader, Bitcoin longs on Finex. In my opinion, garbage to be looking at. Again, a distraction from more relevant things. But we can. I'll address that comment after we get through the opening morning ceremonies in a more dedicated way. I'm just kind of seeing it coming across my stream for a second there. Chinggis says Elsa has a nice keyboard. Yeah, she has this razor pink keyboard that she glued on little diamond thingies to, or whatever the hell. Rhinestones. Hey, what's up, Falcor? Tokyo Channel, there he is. Lev Ashen, good morning to you as well, man. Tony Begg, good morning to you as well, sir. I'm responsible for my losses, but the mechanism for the peg crashing is on the blockchain. Yeah. These are the risks that we take by getting into this very, early technology. Obviously, that's not a comforting thing to say when you've had significant losses or any losses, really. It never really feels good in my experience. But that's just something that we have to remind ourselves logically because, well, there's always the next trade, man. There's always the next trade. We all got pegged, yeah. Like a rhinestone cowboy. Nice one, man. Luna oversold, must go up. That's right, man. I think it's been oversold for a week or two. Hey, what's up, Whiskey Fishing? Holy shit, I recognize that name too. Another OG from back in 2018. Beautiful, man. Yeah, man, if you've been here since 2018, then I think this last drop was, I thought that was actually similar to the November 2018 drop, actually. That was a pretty nasty one. And, there was that first initial jolt, major move down, bounce, and then rolls over a little bit lower. Then the lows were found. That's kind of what I think is going to happen here over a long enough period of time. But yeah. Anyways, just got a few more. Oh, yeah, the Chicago Descending Triangle videos. Yeah, man. And he and Terry, holy shit, man. Another OG. Atlanta Airport, love it. Never been there, but all good. In fact, actually, we're thinking about, or we're probably going to be going to Los Angeles sometime over the summer. Going to go to Elliot's wedding. Elliot, good friend. Please hit the like button, says not Elliot, but Lillian. I would be massively appreciated. We got almost 2,000 people in here, 569 likes. That's good, man. We're trending up. That's good. I just got two more here, and then we're ready to rock and roll. And I forgot my water, but that's okay. I'll give Elsa the caffeine. It's on the table over there, blue cup. Okay, cool. All right, so let me just make sure that I'm out of all my trades over here. Okay, I am. This is good. This is very nice. This is a good way to... Don't do it. Okay. All right, let me just see where I have all of these pivoted here. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Okay, lovely. All right, I'll just wait for her to stop with the damn water over there, and I need to readjust my camera because it's acting weirdly. Okay, there we go. That should be not really better. I think I need to adjust some there, man. Probably fucking it up. I can what? Zoom it on your bung. Ooh, that was a good one. All right. Here we go for Bitcoin, starting off with the 5-day chart over here. This is the chart that's essentially been telling us to be bearish on this channel for the past couple of months, going in back to that 1st of April move over here where momentum started to pivot to the downside. And I wanted to go back and analysize this now that we have pretty much the move here. And in this case, again, I'll just briefly go over this. 5-day BBWP was essentially driving this analysis. The 5-day BBWP, or BBWP in general, is just a volatility measurement in a statistical format, and it is a measurement of the dispersion of returns. And anytime that we have seen it down around the teens, or especially lower, the expansion phase from that on average has led to about a 45% move, give or take, over the next about 40 days on average. And to measure that up with the last 6 iterations, this being our 7th, started in, again, early April, I would say, it's very much consistent with that, actually. We can see that this move has played out about 47% to the downside, which, you know, we do expect that to be on the upper end of that estimate, or of that average, a lot more similar to what we saw back and over here in, of course, May of last year, actually, where we got somewhat similar activity, you know, low volatility period for about a month and a half on the 5-day, and then big expansion phase. We're getting the same thing over here as well, obviously. And in this case, the 5-day stochastic momentum was also, of course, angling to the downside. So that is why we were looking at that as likely to resolve to the downside. There was hoping before that, but as soon as this turned down and rejected the bullish controls, and it also rejected this regression trend line here, that was, you know, heavy downside pressure, obviously. So in this case, I do think that this move for now, this particular move that we're on, is more or less over. I think that the low is in for now, but the low I do not believe is in for forever. At least I would not say that is likely, based off of a few other things. I do think that this can still roll over time and maybe give a try somewhere down around our current lows, or maybe a little bit lower than that. But until then, Bitcoin does have free reign to kind of bounce around over these next few weeks, I imagine. And I would be looking at the 5-day stochastic momentum as still a major pivot for the higher term timeframes, meaning that as long as Bitcoin is fulfilling this condition, which on the current period is 36,500, there is still downside pressure, and Bitcoin on the higher term time frame is more or less range bound, you know, which can still imply some upside movement. But ultimately, you know, we played out this move basically as I'm not going to say as you would expect, because I fucking hate that, or what is it, like exactly as predicted. Like, you can't, in my experience, in my opinion, you cannot predict anything. What you can do is you can look at statistics and probabilities, nothing else, nothing more. If you start to like call moves and bullshit like that, I think that that's honestly impossible to do. But in this case, you know, again, very consistent with the past iterations of this in the past couple of years here. Again, we could do this even more, but in this case, just nice and easy to see on the same screen. So about 40 days, 47%. Again, you know, I do think it's possible to trade a little bit lower, but ultimately, I think that Bitcoin's probably found the lows for now. And if it is going to trade lower, it probably takes until, like, you know, another few weeks, if that. Anyways, on that particular note, I do want to speak about why I'm not convinced that the low is necessarily in just yet, and what I'd essentially use to judge the low being in. Now, one of the things right here, honestly, is the monthly 55. Bitcoin did get a test down around there. Again, we can hang it around there, even get a few wicks lower. That's completely fine. But ultimately, I you know, if this area gets retested, that's completely normal, actually, over the long period of time on a macro chart. But the next big thing that I'm really looking for to kind of confirm a macro low, meaning that I will not be calling any sort of macro lows in until this condition is at minimum present. It must be present for me to call a macro low or even consider a macro low in, is the monthly accumulation distribution indicator right here. Anytime that we have seen a slope change on this indicator in the extremes, so in the extreme greens over here or the extreme reds over here, those have been macro pivots. I've marked all of these off with these green vertical bars, and you can match them up on the chart, and you can very quickly see that, you know, pretty much all of these were macro shifts in directions, which was rather powerful. Now, of course, as you can see right now, we are still downside angled. So as long as this has a negative slope and is even in the green zone, I would go as far to say that it's unlikely, historically speaking, that we do have the low in. This can obviously correct further down over the next few months, probably into, the later portion of summer, and then give a positive slope, maybe even around this trend line. I don't know if that's actually going to work out like that, although it has been for the past few years here. And if it does something like that, that would be a really good indication. And perhaps that looks something like this, where Bitcoin, initially bounces up, bounces around, maybe retests around those lows and does something like that. That would be, definitely a possible scenario over here. But ultimately, I would go as far to say that we probably haven't seen the last time Bitcoin below 30,000 bucks. But I do think that, Bitcoin probably, rallies up a little bit more from here and trades at least sideways in the mid to low $30,000 territory. Until then, I would just be aware of this, because until that happens, and I know a lot of people are very interested in this right now, personally speaking, I would not call a macro low in. I'd say that we've certainly done a lot of damage to the downside, absolutely. But there is still risk of retesting those lows and maybe even going a little bit lower than that. Again, based off of yesterday's video, what I kind of think is perhaps the worst case scenarios, we pretty much played out the majority of it already, but maybe a little bit lower, somewhere down around about 21,000 bucks, if that. Anyways, in this case, I do want to get back on over to here. Yes. And talk about why do you think we're kind of likely to see a bounce right here. We have seen global open interest go for the full-on reset now, so I do think that this is very, 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 very important. We're actually even lower, I believe, than what we saw on the last major low in the low $30,000 territory. Yeah, around February. So that was the last, what's it called? The war announcement. They announced the war. So generally speaking, I am looking for this to probably bounce around a little bit. Again, you're going to see a lot of people just blindly buying around 30,000 bucks anyways, because those are around the yearly lows, and it's a nice round psychological even number. On top of that, we do see hourly funding rates are negative, and significantly negative right here. In fact, we saw the most negative rates in a long time yesterday at negative 0.025%. The daily also posting some pretty negative rates for the first time in a while, comparable to what we saw in January, actually, and again in September of last year. Some both pretty nice lows. Obviously, Bitcoin did trade lower over time, but some good pivots ultimately. So that also does kind of suggest that, hey, probably do see a bit of sideways and up from here. But I should let you know that also you can find this data on the Krown Chain application. The dailies are free, and then the hourlies we do have under the premium, so I should let you know that. Anyways, also on the idea of a likely bounce within this region is the macro here, the macro fib that we were looking at on the monthly, I believe it was. Yeah, this is a macro fib from the ultimate high to the ultimate low of our current cycle to our last cycle, and the 618 is right in alignment with that 55 exponential right here. And actually, the 618 got tested pretty much perfectly, I would say. About as perfect as I can expect on a monthly, which we have a low of 25,365.62 on the index, and the 618 was coming in 25,249.08. I mean, that's good enough. It's good enough, at least in my opinion. So that brings up the question of one last thing on that note. We also do see over here on the daily, one of the big specific conditions for looking, calling the end of this current move and likely looking for, a significant bounce was the daily stochastic momentum, which we have now seen officially cross the upside. I want to see it specifically get above the critical zone now, would be the next sort of thing. But this will remain with upside posturing as long as Bitcoin's above 26,500. So Bitcoin's going to have some pretty big ranges here, even on the short-term timeframes, being that it is incredibly volatile right now. But ultimately, likely to trade sideways and up from here. And if we do go reference daily BBWP, we hit extremes. And we're probably going to max out here for a little bit of time as well. So expect violent swings, but ultimately, I would be looking for, maybe a higher low somewhere in the upper 20s, and then probably Bitcoin puts in a rally into the, mid 30s, let's say. But in this case, I would still say that I want to see the moving average get above the BBWP itself. At that point, I would look for the corrective move and kind of govern that by the daily stochastic momentum. Until then, what are the general areas of interest based off of this to the upside? On a bouncy bounce? Well, it's kind of the same thing as before, actually. We have, if I take this off so you can actually see, we have, or if I draw a fib on this from the high to the low of this current move, we have some pretty obvious areas. One of them we're almost at right now, actually about 31,250, the 382. I would be looking for maybe short-term pullbacks around there ultimately. But any sort of a closure above there on a daily, and I would be looking for Bitcoin to pop back up and potentially fill around the gap that we had from last Friday open, from last Friday closure to this week's open on CME. Anywhere between about 33.5 to 35.5 is fair game, and I would be looking for short-term, medium-term pullbacks from there. In fact, if Bitcoin were to spike into there and then trade sideways and then roll over, and maybe retest around those lows, or perhaps have slightly lower lows, that would also be kind of a way forwards here as well. But I do think that we found a low here for now. Daily Jewel actually is giving off a God mode signal here, which, by the way, the only other time that we've actually even had a God mode signal was in November 2018. For CME specifically. And this is not an immediate bottom signal here, but it is suggesting that we're pretty damn close. You can see in this case over here in 2018, it started to fire that off on the first major low. Bitcoin has a nice big bounce and then rolls over. I think that is possible here. Maybe over a longer period of time. I don't think that this all happens like today or tomorrow or this week, but I'm never, I always want to say that, hey, I don't think that timing analysis is like, or at least I don't think that I can do it that well. I don't really see too many people do it that well, to be honest with you, but fair enough. In this case, though, again, this is all going to be governed by about that 31,500 close on CME specifically. See a daily closure above there, I'd be looking for rallies up first somewhere around this region, and then, caution around there. And again, I do have no reason to believe that Bitcoin puts in a greater rally until we do see specifically a daily closure above the 618, which is about 35,550. And that is also very close to the 5-day momentum pivot over here, which again will naturally come down significantly on this next closing period, which is coming in not tonight, but not tomorrow night, but the night after that. Basically, the weekly closure is going to have it. So if we start to see that, then there could be a nice big rally, maybe even towards the low $40,000 territory. So keep in mind that in bear market rallies, which yes, we're still in a fucking bear market, at least at minimum, as long as Bitcoin's below $52,000. They are designed to be some of the most devastating and terrible things. And honestly, looking at the weekly RSI, I don't think I do not believe that we're done just yet. But ultimately, I do think that Bitcoin has a nice low in for now. Anyways, I see that we're 11 minutes and 30 seconds into this video. So I want to now go back into the short-term timeframes and come up with an invalidation for this. So this invalidation would essentially suggest that Bitcoin's rally is canceled immediately, and I'd be looking for a retest around the lows. And that would be with any sort of a 4-hour closure, maybe even an hourly below about $28,000. Until then, yes, low-term time frame ranges are going to be rather wide, as Bitcoin is extremely volatile right here, but we've hit extremes twice, basically on all time frames now, under a daily, and now the daily is even maxing up as well. So I would be looking at this as a nice, at least sideways range. And then if Bitcoin does start to close below $28,000, very likely test somewhere around the lows yet again, or probably a little bit lower than that. And that's where I'd really start to be looking for, perhaps at least for me, maybe some long-term positions. Until then, sideways is the name of the game, and do be aware that there's going to be some pretty violent swings in the short-term timeframes. Bitcoin will naturally have hidden bearish divergence, basically going all the way through, especially like 32.5, but fucking hell, man, even like $36,000. So I would express caution at those regions. Anyways, with that said, I want to, or at least hopefully that was helpful. I forgot to show my Instagram. My Instagram account is in the link description below. Please understand, any other account other than that one is a scammer. It is not me. I don't have any secret trading funds that you can jump into. And what else? Bybit. Yep, Bybit. They got a link in there. Go get wrecked there. It's great. No, don't fucking do that. Look, can't have that shit on my conscience, man. But yeah, make sure that you test your strategies. You don't need to risk any sort of financial equity in order to find a working strategy for yourself, and then maybe consider it. Hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for that. And I should let you know that Bybit actually does have a testnet account, which is rather important because that's where you can actually play out those things without risking the financial equity. Sweet. Okay. Oh, and I also forgot to talk about the trading journal. That would also be a great place to test out your strategies if you so desire, which I would strongly suggest. You can also create different journals for different strategies that you have and then compare the results with that. You can also just do this on pen and paper if you want. It's going to be a lot more work on your own behalf, or Excel, same thing. But hey, it's right there for you if you so desire, and it's also free as well, which is rather important. And then you get enhanced functionality on the premium as well. Other than that, holy shit, I didn't even see that. Fear and greed index is at like a 12. God, dear Lord, man, that is nasty. We'll go back on over here. Let me get rid of some of these charts so I can free up some real estate. We didn't even talk about this chart over here, but it doesn't really matter right now. We don't need this one for the time being as well. And let me see what we got going on. Also want to make sure if there's any particular, actually would like to, actually I would like to put in an order over here as well. Just uno momento. Okay, there we go. There we go. Yesterday, I was very grateful yesterday for the post-only option on exchanges because I had some I had some sort of disease where I kept on typing in 3 in front of in front of my order instead of like 2, because we were in the 20s, not the 30s. Just every fucking time it seemed like. Anyways, Bitcoin probably found a little bit of a short-term local high right there. All right, cool. Let's see. I think we have Brandon. Brandon, let's go is first. Sir, if your back is hurting you, feel free to sit down. You don't need to stand up. It's okay. Okay. Well, not sitting down, but laying down on the couch. Elsa hurt her back, so I'm concerned. Just continuing. All right. Brandon Lesko says, just wanted to give you my sincere thanks. Sold my house in Washington, moved to Tech. Nice. We were actually looking at Texas a little bit. Invested my earnings in crypto, and thanks to learning from you, I've been able to make more money trading. Wow, this just sounds like a paid shill. But that's amazing, man. So you're making more money trading than your full-time job. Yeah, I mean that's incredible, man. And especially if you're making money in a market like this right now, well, you're about as good as anyone. I mean, this is a fucking difficult market here. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. That's super awesome. It's been cool to see, man. I don't know if you're looking to switch into trading as a full-time career or anything, but at some point there will be an inversion where, it's there's an opportunity cost of being involved in this job over trading. But at the same time, you want to save up money. I understand it's also not for everyone as well. All right, let's go back on over here. And thanks for that nice positive message, man. That's awesome. Actually really, really happy for you. That's amazing. That's truly amazing. I mean, again, this has not been an easy market. Good shit. All right, Beast Trader says, thoughts on Bitcoin USD longs, Finex, skyrocketing. We can look at it. I really don't care about this kind of shit, though, to be honest with you. I think that most of this stuff is just, it's interesting, but it's how do you trade something like this? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, people are putting on longs here. This might have been interesting until I realized that you can just claim positions on Finex. You can just cover them yourself with your spot equity. So I don't know how much I trust anything like this. But yeah, people are longing on Finex, and who knows what the hell that means. Anyways, people saying they time bottoms well. Okay, but when does it stop? Let's see if that's true, actually. People say, experts say. All right, well, let's see if that's true. For one, well, I can already tell you that this one definitely didn't right there, nor this one, nor certainly not fucking this one. I mean, I already know where these areas are. No, that's just simply not true. Honestly, man, I don't have any analysis on this. Is it interesting? Yes. Just to provide some sort of color onto the market. Not anything that I have a strong opinion on. I'm sure other people out there, might be able to make something out of that. I don't. I'm a chart purist in the sense that I just want to be looking at the asset that I'm fucking trading. Finex longs, interesting, but you're basically what you're trying to do when you're looking at shit like that is you're trying to read people's minds, and I don't think that you can actually do that. Or at least I'd much rather trust my ability to read a chart than read someone's mind, because it's hard to infer intent from that. It's hard enough to read a chart anyway. So looking at something like that, to me, is it's further away from the activity that you actually use in order to make money trading, at least in my opinion, or at least for myself. Maybe someone else out there has some really amazing strategies with that. It's not me, so I don't have any interesting things to say about that, nor valuable things to say about that, man. But yeah, interesting. Rolando P says, good morning, sir. Could you check out Mana? Oh, I'm just chomping at the bit to see where this one's at. Oh god, man. Remember last we looked at it, it was breaking down, and holy shit, it's at holy fuck. That is a hell of a bounce. It hit our long-term macro bottom area. That is a hell of a bounce, actually. Anyways, will it hold as long as Bitcoin hits the 32,500 level? Wait, what? Okay, hourly and 4 hour. Will it hold as long as Bitcoin hits the 32? I mean, as long as Bitcoin doesn't shit out below $28,000, I think that most things in this rally are going to play out some nice. Most things in this market are going to play out some nice rallies. This one included. Probably tries for like 118 on a 4 hour. Sometime in the next few days or maybe today. Hourly, same thing. 118, 120ish region. Be looking for pullbacks around there. I'd only say that this one's bearish below like 80 cents. This is a fucking hell of a move there, man. Wow. Pound for pound, that was a 80% move off the lows. Dear Lord. Man, I think you got some sideways and up from here. Especially as long as Bitcoin doesn't shit it out below $28,000. That's where I'd get extremely bearish on the rest of the market. But for right now, I think that we have some nice lows in for right now. In general, and that's going to be consistent amongst pretty much everything in this market, I imagine. Mr. Venegas is back. He's looking at FitFi. Okay, FitFi and Gate.io. Okay, let's see what this baby's got over here. On Gate.io, there's a 3x long on Gate. What the fuck is happening there, man? What's going on there? 1, 4, and 6 if possible. All right, let's see if it can populate a 6. Barely. This would be a good place for a short-term pullback. 4 hour, I think, is going to be more interesting. Maybe a short-term pullback here, but ultimately, I do think that you retest somewhere around like 38 to 40 cents or so. Hourly, same thing. Short-term might have a bit of a short-term pullback here, but ultimately, I'm looking for sideways up and continuation probably for the next few days, as long as you remain above 20 cents. That's kind of my pivot for rect again, but again, most things in this market looking for some sideways and up bounces here. I think that this one probably tests around, 38 to 40 cents or so. Way too new to be looking at anything other than that. But for right now, it should be known that, you're probably going to cool off on BBWP for a while, and that within the current trend means sideways and up. But you will be building up major, massive, humongous, ginormous, huge hidden bearish divergence as long as you're below basically 42 cents or so. So that would be a really good place for a short-term lower high and pullback. If you're on like a 4 hour or maybe even a 6 hour. Let's see, where else do we have? Okay, these are nice and organized. Sebastian Vall says, hey man, please tell me I will be able to buy Lambo by the end of the year. Yes, but it might be like a toy version, not the real one. I don't know, man. Like if you're just reliant, if I know that this is kind of like a joke question, but if you're just reliant on the market going straight up, probably not. No. But if you do have trading skills, then really you shouldn't really be caring about the direction. You should be caring about the opportunities, of which there's been many, and I'd say definitely possible. Yeah. Mr. Young is here. He says, I got wrecked AF, but I want to let everyone know that I love you all. Hey, man, much love to you as well, sir. And you'll never walk alone. Oh, I hate Liverpool, though. Thanks for all that. Thanks for all your heads up. Hey, man, all good. And yeah, man, I understand it's not easy. It's always difficult if anytime you get wrecked or lose a significant amount of money or any money, any amount of money for that matter. I mean, I don't really have much else to say other than that, but at the same time, it's, it is a part of the game, and you can be looking at that in two ways. You can be looking at that as like, oh, poor me, or oh, I can learn something from this that will benefit me in the future, and that is actually a very valid thing. I mean, that is incredibly valid, because that is, well, something that you can quite literally do. I mean, so it can be a learning experience. I know that sometimes can sound like a bit of a cop-out, especially after like a pretty emotionally devastating event. Totally fucking get that, man. I've had that many times myself as well. But at the same time, I can always say, at least to date, my most important learning moments were when I've gotten like the most emotionally wrecked. So those are really good times in my experience to like go back and what's it called? And really, after the first emotional sort of, hit, I guess, go back and really dial in, what led to this, do a bit of a post-mortem or something like that. And at that point, it can be a constructive thing for the long term. Tristan Engel says, love from Australia as we go through our third flood as the market crashed. Holy shit, man. You guys are having floods again. Remember Nimbo sent me something about that, and I couldn't even believe it, man. I couldn't even believe it. Crazy shit, man. Crazy shit. Hope you're staying safe over there, man, though. Tokyo Channel says, on the bullet train, wishing you a great weekend. You as well, sir. Been around for a while, haven't broken a sweat during the recent price action. I know, man. I know you've been here for a long time. These seasoned vets, man. It's like, this ain't nothing to you. Honestly, it really did feel like kind of a controlled move down the last few days, to be quite frank. Crypto Moo says, I can buy 47,000 Luna for the price of this super chat. Wait, really? What price is it? I haven't even looked at it today. Let's see what it's, I'm curious just to see what it's at. What the fuck? Oh my God, dude. Holy shit, it traded to half of a cent. I think it's gotten like delisted or halted from most exchanges. Where can you even trade it? Maybe FTX. Holy fuck, what? Oh my God, it's not even half a cent. What? Wait, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decimal places to the right. Dear fucking Lord. Oh my God. I bought it at a cent yesterday. That wasn't even near the low. That's not even close to the low. Wow. Wow. Let's see. I'm just, Elsa says, should I buy? It's literally down like another 100%. It's down another 99% from, wow, that is insane. Holy shit, man. Man, just when you think you've seen it all, that's a hell of a thing. I think that might even be worse than BitConnect, in terms of like catastrophic failures. Tree City West says Safe Moon is higher price than Luna. Cadena on the 4 hour. Let's check it out. I'm gonna imagine this one probably got sent back to the depths of hell and probably having a nice bounce here, and it is. But I know that we have a chart on this one for the more long term. Maybe KuCoin. Yeah, here we go. Played out the measure move, even shouted out a little bit more than that since the last time that we looked at it. Other than that, you know, your prior breakdown region's going to act as resistance right here, very, very likely. So short term probably pulls back a little bit. I don't know if that's relevant to you. Oh, no, it is relevant to you because you're on a 4 hour. You know, I'd just be looking at this as range resolutions, probably short term pullback. And I'd be looking at basically your 4 hour low as kind of a reversal point. So I do think that while this one probably does have a short term pullback here, probably does try to the upside as well. Just need to see it trade above, what is this, 254, and then I'll be looking for an extension towards about 280-ish region. Until then, you know, looking for a bit of sideways and up here as long as you're above 190 specifically. With short term, maybe on like an hourly, a bit more of a pullback. If it wants to pull back down to like 220, that's fine, or 225, that's completely fine. Only an issue below about 190 in my opinion. At that point, I'd probably be looking for it to retest the lows, but you know, we're seeing extremes all across the market here. I mean, this is massive volume. In fact, I didn't even check Bitcoin. Yeah, pretty big volume spikes right there, but still actually not as intense as what we saw in May. Although this one's been really done over the past, you know, should really be considered over the past few days, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4 days of extremely high volume. And I imagine, yeah, if we go over here to Bybit Tether pairing, which I think is honestly a better representation right now, because most people are probably trading with Tether or US dollar as their collateral, because, well, you don't really want to be trading with the underlying asset on a general downside market. It is showing significant activity, but then again, you could also say that it's just a maturing market here. So maybe Finex is going to be the one actually, because it's only going to have a lot more data. Yeah, Finex also trades, or this is the US dollar pairing. Maybe we need to go to the Tether pairing. Let's see. Maybe Binance actually. Maybe they're the top dogs now. Yeah, definitely significant there, but still pound for pound, not the same as May actually. Although I would certainly say that this was capitulation over here. It doesn't mean that you can't roll over a little bit more, but that is, if you lived through that, you saw a capitulation yesterday. That was quite literally a capitulation. Okay, let's see. I think we have DJ Themi says, please check SHIB. Oh, God. Sir. This market already just got fucking hammered. Why does it have to be a shitcoin as well? Maybe Binance, I guess. SHIB back where it belongs. Probably doggy below 10 cents as well. Again, you know, these are bouncy areas. Probably the same thing to say about most other things. Short term, if you're on like an hourly, which it seems like you are, I wouldn't mind a pullback to like 1250 or so. But I do think that this one does trade higher outside of this range in the next week or so, probably somewhere around 15 to 1600 daily. Yeah, same thing. I'd be looking for hard rejections at like 16 to 1500-ish region. Long term, you know, I think at best this one goes honestly into like the dead heartbeat, back down to its like September lows. But you know, that's months and months away, I'd imagine. Heavily bearish. Nothing good about this chart at all whatsoever long term, as long as you're below 2000. But yeah, I do think that this move probably gets extended a little bit more in the short term after you know, like an hourly pullback maybe. Cool. Craig Dis says, in the name of Boolah Jesus, kindly press the mute button when you swallow. Thanks, sir. A little bit late for that, man. There was a person in the comments last time I did that threatening. He was threatening. He's like, look, man, how many times do I have to tell you? Stop with the sounds. I'll unsubscribe. It's like, look, man, you're free to do whatever you want. You are 100% free to do whatever you want. It's all good. It's all good. I understand that's going to piss some people off, but at the same time, if you're the kind of person that pisses that off, this channel is not going to be for you. Amadeus Ciano says TRX daily for the people. All right, let's see. I guess I shouldn't judge it before we see the chart, but I'm going to guess. Actually, all things considered, held up pretty well compared to most other things. Like, really interesting right there to see. We'll redo this chart for a daily here, as you requested. But I mean, this would be a really good place for a higher low. It's literally just put in like 1, 2, 3 higher lows as well. Extremes on that move to the downside. I think that this one has a nice pop up here over the next few days. Probably closer to like 7.5 to 8 cents. Short term, yeah, same thing. Bullish divergence printing off the lows here. Only bearish below 6.5 cents. Below 6.5 cents, yeah, send it back down to like your March lows or so, and maybe lower than that over time. But funnily enough, held up relatively well. Now, long term, do I like this chart? No. No, absolutely not. Because long term, what are you essentially doing? You're essentially creating macro lower highs, and I suspect that you probably have another macro lower high somewhere around here. Somewhere in this area right here. That might even already be it, but yeah, not great long term, but at least for right now, in the short term, it's actually one of the better charts, to be fair. Have to call a relatively good chart a relatively good chart. Yeah, I do think that it trades up here. Probably closer to 8 cents in the next week or so. Again, only bearish below like 6.6 cents, actually. Okay, I think we have Martin Hunt next. He says, AVAX 4-hour and daily. Yeah, we can look at this one. Maybe it's worth recording as well. Okay. All right. Yeah, this one got absolutely hammered. Absolutely fucking hammered. Wow. Let's see, did it hit anything major here? Doesn't have enough history to really hit anything major yet. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Let's actually mark this one off, and then we'll do an analysis on it. All right, here we have avalanche symbol AVAX versus the dollar. This one getting nailed to the cross, just like everything else in this market. But on the macro scale here, if you are more interested in that, which will also cover the short-term time frame as well. But for now, I would be looking for it to play in a range essentially between $30 and about $50. And seeing as we probably do have this short-term time frame, or sorry, the some lows in for right now, probably would be looking for some sideways and up here on the short-term time frames, that is. So if you're very, very short-term, like an hourly, probably a bit of sideways here, might come back down and retest like 32.5 to 33. That's completely fine. I don't know if that's relevant to you or not, but on a full hour, looking for any sort of a closure above about 37.75, and I actually would be looking for this one to put in a nice rally around the top side of this range, somewhere around about 43 to 45 bucks. Which is a nice move there. Daily, we're seeing extremes on the lows here. I do think that this one very likely trades back up to the shallow 40s. We're seeing extremes here on daily BBWP. We're seeing extremes here on daily RSI. I'm looking for a corrective move. Now, again, corrective move within the context of this trend, still suggests that we're probably looking at a lower high over some amount of time. But for right now, over the next week or two, probably looking for this one to trade a bit of sideways and up here on the daily, something like this, and maybe even reaches up towards $50. That would be a great place for another lower high on the macro scale if it wants to be macro bearish. But I probably shouldn't judge it before it does something like that. Generally speaking, long term, I think that the hopium here is that you spend some time within this range, reaccumulate over basically until like the end of the year, and then maybe try an upside move. If this one can reclaim long term back above about 69 to 70 bucks, that's where I would start to say this one is macro bullish yet again. Until then, I think at best going to be ranging between these two macro areas right here. We should also go check out stochastic momentum and just see if it kind of aligns with that. See where those sort of pain points are. Hey, stop laughing. There's nothing funny about this. People are losing everything right now. Daily stochastic momentum is to the upside above 25 bucks. Weekly, nose diving below 64. So yeah, higher term time frame is going to be range bound here for a while, but I do think that you found your lows for now, and very likely do trade sideways and up, probably to the shallow 40s, maybe even as much as $50, and then come back to it after that. sometime around end of month maybe. Although timing again, not necessarily my thing. I would only get bearish on this one to essentially retest around your lows, maybe even make new lows. If you see a full hour below about 29 and a quarter, at that point I'd be looking for your lows to be retested and probably new lows incoming as well, maybe down to like $20. But for right now, most things in this market I do think has found some short-term lows. So hopefully that was helpful when they go for AVAX, sir. Oh, you're laughing because he lost all of his money? Because he lost his house and wife? It's wife-changing money, just not the kind of wife-changing that you thought. I know. Let's see. Webby says Google long-term. Okay, so let's see. Symbol G-O-G. Whoops. Whoopsies. Too many letters there. Stock market, same thing as Bitcoin. All these things are probably going to trade in tandem for the most part, especially the tech sector. I think that you found a nice low here. Does this one trade? I mean, this one could trade up like significantly in the next couple months, even to like 2,500 to 2,600 and not really do that much on the macro. What really makes me consider that Bitcoin could very easily have a lot more long-term downside is the traditional markets, actually, amongst other things as well. But for right now, if you're on the higher term timeframes, like it sounds like you are, I do think that this is a nice bouncy point, and this one probably does play out some nice moves up, over the next few weeks, probably 2,400 or so. And then if you see any sort of a closure above about 2,460, this past high here in early May, I'd be looking for this one to put in a rally towards 2,550 to 26 quarterly. Let's see. Yeah, it's a good bouncy area right here. I don't think that the lows are necessarily in, but this is a good bouncy area. Long term, I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing come down to like 1850 to 1900 or so. And just kind of on that topic, one of the big reasons why I really do think that, it's not that I'm saying that this needs to happen, but it's relevant to be aware of. Here's SPY on a quarterly. The low is not fucking in. Look, very rarely will I say very, intense things like that, but long term, the low is not fucking in. I think at best it puts in a low at like 35. At worst, it puts in a low at like 27. And look. Here's linear scale. This is just 2020 right here. This is March 2020. I mean, and it gets worse the higher time frame that I go. Here's a 6 month. It's a fucking bearish engulfing closing next month, end of June. Again, I think best case scenario is like 3650. Probably more likely is upper 2000s, personally speaking. I mean, these are extremes here. These are fucking extremes. I think we even have bearish divergence forming on a 6 month. Yeah. So not only do you have a bearish engulfing, but you got bearish divergence forming here as well. So I'd say pretty strong probability of this one trading down to like low 3000s in the next, 6 months to a year. Okay, maybe not 6 months because this is literally a 6 month chart, but probably like in the next year to year and a half. Yeah. I'm not convinced that this is done going down over the longest period of time just yet. But for right now, we got some nice lows in, which is good. Let's see. Adam Kalane says Kava on the hourly and 6 hour. Okay. All right. I did everything above it. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, again, I think they got a nice low in here for now, but you're looking at a 6 hour and an hourly. 6 hour, I think it's probably going to trade somewhere up around about 245 to 250 hourly. Maybe a short-term pullback at around 215, but ultimately I'm looking for that move to play out, around 240 to 245 basically, as long as you're above about 175 on an hourly closing basis. Anything is, any pullback before that's just another higher low. Mr. Switch, yeah, we can go back to that just really quickly here. Yeah, the quarterly is, I think has like 3 drives of bearish divergence here. But these things take a long time to play out, being that it is a quarter. Look, we have extremes here on quarterly BBWP, and then secondly, as you correctly identified, we have multiple drives, so 1, 2, 3 drives of bearish divergence there. Again, I think at minimum this one's coming down to like 34. I think that's kind of like best case scenario. I think what's a little more likely over the next year to 2 years is maybe like upper 2000s. That's where I'd probably be looking for potentially a macro bottom there. I've been studying the 70s a lot here because I think that, look, I'm not a macro analyst because you know the old saying, right? It's like it's easier to macro bullshit than micro, but if I were thinking just in terms of myself, I do think that this current environment is very similar to the 70s, and something like this is probably what we're in for, as far as macro goes. Cool. I see Anderson 7 and 7 says SPY VIX is high. Would love your opinion on shorter term 4 hour daily. Okay. Probably going to be a bounce, I'd imagine. Short term, a little bit of a short term range. You probably found the range highs at like 39.50. Could trade back down to like 39.50, I said 39.75, high side of the range, low side of the range about 39.50. But generally speaking, just like most of the other things, I do think it's going to probably pop up here. This one probably just north of 4,000, maybe to like 40.30. 40.20 to maybe as much as 40.50. Let's see, and you're on a daily as well. Let's see. Yeah, I think you got a nice short term, or I think you got a nice bottom in here on the daily for now. Probably trades up north of 4,000. And if it's going to put in a lower high, I'd be looking somewhere around like 41.50 sometime later this month or next month, something like that. But for right now, I think the downside is done. Like the major downside is done for now. And if it's going to roll over, it probably happens sometime around midsummer maybe. Again, I don't have like good opinions on that anyways, but timing, not really something that I think you can actually do. Dana says, could you please look at Ethereum USD? Yes, that would be a good one to be looking at. Let me just set it up over here as well, because I would like to record this one. And here we have Ethereum symbol ETH versus the dollar, and we do have what appears to be a nice local low in for now on the daily, as we hit extremes on, we do play out some extremes on volume and volatility, which is what I typically look to kind of denote on major lows. In this case, I do want to see the BBWP specifically get back below the moving average. At that point, I do look for a daily corrective move, which would imply upside at least towards like 2300 region, potentially even striking up as high as about 2500 or so. And I would be looking at this correction as likely to play out as long as this condition is met over here with the daily stochastic momentum, which will have an upside pivot as long as you're above 1800. So for right now, pretty damn good. Short-term time frames I imagine are all vertical here. Yeah, 4 hours showing 1900 basically, 6 hours showing 1750. Yeah, I think that we're getting ready for a corrective bounce here. And again, it can trade very easily shortish term to the 2300 region, and then if things do get continuation, I'd be looking somewhere around 2550 to 2600 or so. Other than that, if you go back here to a 4 hour, as you did request, a short-term bit of a short-term range here, can easily pull back down as much as like 2,000, but I'm generally looking at this one as likely to trade sideways and up as long as you're closing hourlies on Ethereum specifically above 1950. That'd kind of be my invalidation for upside, and likely another retest somewhere around 18 to 1700 and maybe lower than that over time. But for right now, I think that we do have some lows in. It's been a pretty extreme move to the downside. You can even interpret this as a test towards the 5-day 200 simple. So, probably plays out a range here. And if things get really crazy, might even put in a bear market bounce into the deep 2000s. But I don't think it's appropriate to really be looking at that at this current moment in time. Obviously, a lot of things are going to happen before that's even relevant. But for right now, bit of sideways and up. Again, as long as the hourly is above 1950 on a closing basis. And yes, you will be creating a hidden bearish divergence pretty much the whole way through, as long as you're below 2400. So that is something to be aware of. Hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for Ethereum. Cool. Let's see. Leia Rich says, Solana outlook in the coming days, week. Let me get out my crystal ball. I guess that means to medium term time frame, and then like a daily perhaps. Definitely a little bit on the weaker side compared to some of the other charts that we've seen today. Hasn't even traded above yesterday's high. Yeah. But I do think that this one will make a move up somewhere around like 61 to 62 bucks. At least in the next week, hopefully. That'd be really concerning if it can't. I'd really only get bearish on it below about 44.5. Until then, short-term bit of sideways and up, short-term range highs somewhere around about 55.70 and lows at around 45? About 45 basically. And, any sort of a closure above that high side of the range, which is, more like 56.5, and I'd be looking for the next leg up somewhere around 65 to 68. Again, looking for corrective bounces here. Most things in this market probably going to be doing something similar to that, but man, that is a concerning chart long term. Damn. Joey Burden says you should have some sweet tea and make them feel your sweet, sultry swallowing sips. Man, that is a powerful alliteration right there. I'm glad that I got through it. But don't forget, you work for us now for all that for $5. Count me in, baby. I'm here for it. PYRUSD. I'm just having a laugh, man. Of course, have to be appreciative of really anything in this life. Obviously, I think we go to KuCoin for this one, or KuCoin, or whatever the fuck coin. Oh, we got a garbage chart. That's great. That's really, really nice. But just like, oh, wow, really good bounce here, though. Really, really good bounce. So showing relative strength in the short term. Again, short-term range high is going to be right around basically where your wicks are right now, 555. Low is going to be somewhere around like 420. So, same thing as most of the other ones. Like short-term, like very short-term, hourly, does it pull back and maybe even test around like 4.5 or maybe even 4.25? Definitely possible. But I'm looking for this one to trade sideways and up, probably closer towards $6.50, as long as you're above that 420 pivot. Daily. Yeah, daily. I generally think it's going to trade sideways and up from here. Just like all the other charts, hidden extremes all around. So now if you do trade back down below that 420 region, great number, I'd be looking for the lows probably to be retested, maybe even slightly newer lows as well. Until then, I don't here's what I really don't think is going to happen. That basically the hopium. It's like the lows are in, we just V-bottom out of here. No, I don't think that's happening. I'd be very surprised to see something like that, but doesn't mean it can't happen, but I think extremely low probability. Again, based off of some of the, what's up?
Nothing. I just sneezed and it's gonna hurt.
Oh, okay, I see. Gotcha. All right, let's see. I think Mr. Venegas is next, looking at Algo. Okay, simple ALGO USD. Okay. Let's see, and also I need to make sure that I'm okay over here. Yes, am I? Did I get hit on a trade? No, I did not. So that's good. Or well, it's nothing. Let me just adjust this. Okay, and where are we at? Okay. Wait, that needs to be higher. Okay, sorry about that. All right, Venegas is looking at Algo. I guess the red line got hit. The red line of fucking death. But this one actually starting to print some bullish divergence right here. If you can close above yesterday's high, it'll be confirmed, which is 47.82. At that point, I'd probably look for a rally up somewhere around like mid-50s, 55 cents or so. Hourly, same thing as all the other ones, right? It's a bit of a short-term range where you got your range highs like just under 50 cents. You got your range lows just around like 43 cents. So below 43, I turned around bearish on it, looking for a retest back down to 37, 38 cents. But for right now, I think most things are going to trade sideways and up here. Probably as a short-term pullback though. Alongside that, yeah, any sort of a 4-hour closure, especially above like 51, 52 cents, and I'd be looking for this one to put a nice rally towards 60. Let's see, GMT for Ken 777. Okay, GMT. This is another one of those like walking coins or something. See how this one's doing. Jesus, man. I think that chart is no longer relevant to where we're currently at. A really good recovery here too, for certainly showing relative strength in the short term. Very, very short term though. Well, you didn't give me any time frames, but very, very short term, do you pull back down and maybe retest around like 135 to 140? I don't know, but if it did, it's completely fine. This one, I'm generally looking for this one to probably trade back up somewhere around $2 with an invalidation below about 115. Problem with like super volatile areas or times is that these ranges become extremely large. So if you're not like trading literally on the peripheries of them, it's some pretty hefty risk. But yeah, Adita, hopefully I'm saying this properly. I'm going to say Mr. Kelsey. Hey, Krown, could you look at Carderpio? Tether lost its peg. I don't know if it necessarily lost its peg. If it lost its peg, I'd expect major differentials between Tether pairings and US dollar pairings. And we do see a bit of a differential right there, but certainly nowhere near yesterday. Yesterday it had like a $300 premium on Tether versus US dollar. Right now that's come down to like less than $100. So I don't think so. It's weird, man. Like for all the hate that Tether's gotten over the years, which has gotten a shit ton of hate. Still, nothing's actually happened. It's kind of crazy, man. Kind of crazy. Anyways, you are looking at a 400 daily. Should I record this one? Should we incite the violence of the Cardano communities? I don't know when we made this chart last, but it's still working apparently. Here we have Cardurpio, symbol ADA versus the dollar, and actually having a pretty good response there, all things considered. Definitely better than most of the other things that we've seen today, which is a good thing. I do think that you're probably going to find your next range high somewhere around 65 cents to 68 cents in this case. And I'm generally looking for a pullback somewhere around there. But pullback, not the same thing as reversal here. I think that there's been a lot of damage to the downside. We're probably setting up for a greater sideways and up move over time. Wouldn't be surprised to see this one trade back up somewhere around like the 75 to 80 cent region in the next few weeks here. But daily BBWP maxed out. I just want to see the BBWP get below the moving average, and then I look for that corrective move, probably somewhere towards those 80 cent regions. Long term, pretty wrecked still. I think I still kind of, I mean, it nearly hit my 30 cent target. Dear Lord, man. I didn't even, you know, I did not think that was going to get hit that soon. That's insane. Anyways, I do think that you found your lows for now. You probably trade sideways and up here, but I'll be wrong about that, and you can expect new lows with any sort of a 4-hour closure below about 47.5 cent. Again, big ranges here, being that this is an incredibly volatile time, but that's just, you know, that's the risk involved. Looking at momentum here, we do see that daily stochastic momentum will remain to the upside as long as you're above 43.5 cents. So I'm generally looking, for a corrective move. Weekly turn still down below 70. 5-day still down below about 72. So, you know, it is range bound on the higher term timeframes at best. But short term, sideways and up is kind of where I'd be looking for. Probably makes a rally somewhere around like 65, maybe as much as 68 cents. Plays out a bit of a range there, and then maybe sets up for another move to the upside next week or the week after that. Again, I'm only bearish on this one for new lows below about 47.5 cents. Until then, probably trade sideways and up here. It should be known, though, that you will have significant, massive, humongous hidden bearish divergence as long as you're below that 68 cents. So I would be strongly looking for pullbacks within this region here. Hopefully that was helpful for Cardano. Megalodon? Are you Megalodon from the Discord? Probably not. Seeing as you're asking for fucking Omisigo. Dear Lord, man. Like, did you not get the memo? This thing's garbage. Sorry, man. I'm being such a fucking dickhead today. I apologize. I really do apologize. But it's a god-awful chart, man. It really is. Like, dear fucking Lord, man. It didn't even get anywhere near its 2018 highs. This is fucking terrible. Just terrible, man. 1 day and weekly. Weekly wrecked as fuck, but it's probably going to bounce here. Most things are going to bounce here. They're getting pity bounces. This one can very easily rally up towards $3. But I'm extremely bearish on it as long as you're especially below, like, for the love of fucking God, man, like $5. Jesus Christ. It's just garbage. It's just absolute garbage. I would say this one's going to roll over and make new lows if you see any sort of a 4-hour move below about 230. But for right now, most things are going to play some sideways and upside moves. I think this one could very easily rally up even towards $3 or, I mean, shit, man. Again, I'm long-term massively macro bearish on this thing below $5, but it doesn't mean that I can't rally up somewhere around there, even 4.5 in the next few weeks. But this is just like, this is what most charts from this cycle are going to end up looking like. That big spike up in 2018 and then the dead heartbeat. And then the next market cycle, you get a little bit of love and then dump it in your fucking face again, because shit like this, it's like, I mean, it's quite literally just shit. Again, I'm not talking shit about you as a person. You as a person, you're probably great. You're probably fine. This is a chart, not great, not fine. Very bad. Very, very bad. Wait, what? Ah, yes, that is the accurate representation of a chart like this. Just terrible, man. Just fucking god awful. It'd be a great place to have a lower high on the macro at like $4.50 or something. Cool. I think we're back. Let's see. H bar, please. Okay. H bar. Herderpa hash. Oh God, where's this one? Well, we probably shouldn't judge it before we get there. Like most things, probably putting in a bit of a daily low here, and I do think that it trades sideways and up. 11 cents is fine. You didn't really give me any time frames to be working off of, but long term, not a fucking fan of that chart for sure, but a really good response here off the lows nonetheless. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a short-term time frame range, but ultimately I would say that the lows are very likely in as long as you're above about 8 cents. Until then, more likely to rally over the next week or so to like 11.5 to 12 cents or so. And long term, again, terrible long term, especially as long as you're below, like, God forbid, 23 cents. So, you know, it can rally up a lot over the summer, but it's all lower highs below 20 cents, man. But yeah, short term having a pretty good response there. So that's, you know, have to balance it out. And that is true also as well. So I guess that's the hopium right there. Just be wary of 83 cents. Let's see. Sam Fergosi says CME LE1. Okay, what's this? Yeah, I did, Alex. Cattle futures. Oh, so like cows. Oh, they're coming down. Hey, then why is my fucking beef so expensive? Those prices went up a lot. You know, probably going to bounce around here, but is this I think that this is actually the monthly top. Are we eating good soon, sir? I think so. Yes, I do think over the next like half year to a year, you see this one back down around about $120-ish, let's say. Maybe even as low as $100 again. I mean, generally speaking, I think that you're kind of doing something like this, right? You're in a macro monthly consolidation range. You just hit the range highs. You're probably going to come back down and test at least the median of the range, which is going to be like 120 to 110. And then if things really get nasty, maybe like around $100 again. But yeah, I do think that you found the highs for now. I don't really know what time frame you're going off of, so I don't know how to make that more specific to you. But short term, if you're on like a daily, I do think it's going to bounce off this region first. You know, could even bounce all the way up to like fill the gap at 138, 139 region. But ultimately, I do think that this is your next monthly high here, and probably trades sideways and down over the next half year or 2 year. Cheap Krown beef. Let's go, baby. Let's see. Joey Burden says also near USD 4 on daily. Okay. I've heard some speculation that near is similar to Luna, but again, I'm not qualified to speak on the fundamentals. Not as strong of a response here as most other things. Yeah, this one didn't just hit my $9 target, it smashed it. Wow. Nasty. You know, like most things, probably going to bounce here. It's definitely not having as good of a bounce as most other things, though, which is not a great sign. I mean, this chart on its own is like really questionable. You know, it did hit the 1618 extension to the downside here. I didn't think that was going to happen this soon. It's kind of insane. I do think you probably rally up alongside the rest of the market. Like $8.50 to $9 is certainly not out of the question there. Not really asking for much in the next week or two. 4 hour, I would only call new lows, which is not even helpful. If you get like a closure below 570, then probably retest around the lows. But kind of a weirder chart on its own, actually. But generally speaking, you know, most of this market probably going to put in a bit of a range, you know, might trade back down around the low side of that range in the short term. But ultimately, I do think that we're at like a bounty point overall. And then if it's going to roll over, it probably happens like later this summer. Yeah, again, I really wouldn't be surprised to see this one even test back up towards $9 in like the next week or two, something like that. But long term, pretty wrecked, man. Pretty wrecked. You know, at some point, I think that is very likely to retrace this wick, just personal opinion. When shopping cart says KNC 4 hour and 24 hour. All right. Okay. I remember this one. Well, all right. I guess I don't remember it that well because holy shit, man. Okay, 4 hour and 24 hour. Let's go to a daily. You know, I do think that it needs to be said, though, that it is coming off of the weekly 200 simple there. So, you know, very, 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 very likely to bounce off these regions. A lot of bots and algos will just buy these kind of blindly, closing their shorts, you know, that they probably started like well above $3. So, you know, it's likely to trade sideways and up here. In this case, it can bounce rather aggressively. Even around $2 is a complete fair game. Wouldn't be surprised to see it bounce around like, you know, $2.50 to maybe even $3 in the coming month or two. 4 hour time frame. You know, again, I generally think that you got the lows in. I would only invalidate that with the 4 hour closure below about 118. Until then, short term, you know, probably puts in a rally towards 169, maybe 175, something like that. I mean, this is such a brutal move right here, for real. Just straight down. Like if we put this on a line chart, it's literally straight down. That is insane, man. It's hard to keep up that sort of momentum to the downside. So you're probably going to get a bit of sideways and then a try to the upside, and probably gets rejected somewhere in like the mid twos, if I had to guess. Cryptos and tokens says, thanks for all, man. It's all good. And even breaking back. That's right, man. I busted so hard she broke her back. What's funny about that? Oh my god, I can't. Oh, uh-oh. Oh yeah, complete that sentence, fuckface. Okay, speak about your experience on how long these bear markets can last for the noobs that missed 2018. Can we look at random stock chart you like, hate? I don't really look much at stocks, man. Like a random stock. I mean, Microsoft was the one. Microsoft and Facebook were the ones that I traded the most when I was trading traditional markets. I think you got the highs in here for a very long time on the monthly. I think this one probably trades down to like low 200s. I mean, again, this is a pretty egregious chart. Anyways, okay, can you speak about your experience on how long these bear markets can last for the noobs? In general, for Bitcoin, well, here's the thing. Like, we need to recognize that this current environment is fundamentally different than the past 12 years for Bitcoin. This macro environment is, you know, we're literally seeing a bear market in traditional markets, which Bitcoin has never had to, you know, go through. So until the correlation between Bitcoin and especially the tech sector does subside, we might be seeing something completely different. Now, if you are going off the historical results for Bitcoin specifically, you know, the worst is usually like three years from bottom to top, or bottom to like new highs, basically, something like that. And do I think that would be reasonable for Bitcoin here? Yeah. You know, I think best case scenario, you probably not going to be seeing new all-time highs at least for like 2 years, maybe 3 years, something like that. And if the traditional markets play out a move like I'm kind of looking for on SPX, I mean, I think most stocks, you probably won't see them hit their highs, maybe even ever again, but probably for like another 8 to 10 years. For Bitcoin, you know, it's a bit of a different thing because it's a, you know, it's a different type of asset and it has a lot of room to grow. So theoretically, at some point it should decouple, right? Is that what's going to happen? I mean, relationships, what my mentor always said was, you know, relationships continue to go on until they don't, you know, and most relationships end up in very volatile and nasty divorces, right? That's kind of the average. So, oh, okay. Yes, that's exactly a reference to you, Elsa. Anyways, let me just redo my camera because it's being all weird. But ultimately, if you're going to run with that relationship, then it's going to be a long fucking time, man. If you think that it decouples, which I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen there. There's no way for me to know. But for right now, we have no tangible information that suggests that it's going to decouple. So, yeah. Martin Hudd says, thoughts on higher low areas for Bitcoin on the hourly. Without this channel, I would have held blindly over the past weeks, months. Being here has completely changed my outlook. That's awesome, man. Thank you. So you're looking for hourly higher lows. So where would I be looking for on hourly higher lows? Let's see. Well, in this case, I like to draw my fibs, go from the high to the low. Actually, we'll go from the high to the low of the last one. I'd say anywhere down to low $29,000 is okay, but below there is where things start to reverse. So areas of interest would be basically 29.9. I think that's quite aggressive. 29.5, a little bit more reasonable. 29.2, kind of last chance for love before coming back down to like 28.5 or so. And again, I do get quite bearish on this asset, looking for a retest around our current lows below about 28, if that were to happen. This is on Bybit tether pair, by the way. When shopping cart says Tesla weekly monthly. Okay, Tesla. I'm gonna imagine this one probably not looking too good. Weekly, pretty wrecked. Does it put in a nice spike somewhere down around this blue box? Maybe. I think over a long enough period of time, yeah, very, very likely. Probably even a little bit lower than that too. It's probably some more like this, between like 555 and 620. But if you're on a weekly, which, yeah, you're on a weekly as well, do you play out a short-term bounce here first? Maybe yes. Especially if you see a bounce today for Friday and close back above like 780, I would actually say that this one probably puts in a nice bounce back up closer to $800 or $900 maybe in the coming month or two. But long term, no, I don't think that the lows are in here just yet. I think it's a little more likely to come down around here. Quarterly, yeah, this is atrocious, man. Dreadful. I do strongly think that it comes down to like 550, you know, sometime in the next year. But on a weekly, does it bounce first? Maybe. I don't know. I don't feel as strongly on that. Let's see. J. Joe says CRO daily weekly. Oh God, this one's going to be sent back to the Stone Age, I think. Let's see. KuCoin. Yeah, not too hot right there. Also not having a great bounce either, which is not a good sign. Definitely on the relatively weak side, but you know, if the daily wants to trade up towards like 22 to 23 cents, that's fine. Long term though, quite bearish or extremely bearish below about 41 cents. So it's got a lot of work to do. I think best case scenarios, you do something like this. I guess I already have it in there. Something like that. And then it turns to the upside, specifically back above that like 40 cent region or so. Until then, let's see. Daily, weekly. Yeah, I think there might be a rally back up towards like deep 20s. 4 hour as you requested, or no, you didn't request, so you probably don't care about that. Yeah, probably a bit of a short-term range here, as are most things. Okay, let's see. We have Big DM. Hey, Krown, can you show us how to properly use a fib retracement to the up and downside? Yeah, without going through in the TA program, I think it's like a 30-minute long video or maybe 40-minute long video. Without going through all of that, basically the general gist of it is quite simple, and it'd save you a lot of headache. Take the last high, take the current low, and draw a fib in the same direction in the order of which they happen. So in this case, if you're drawing a high to low, you go from this high over here to this low over here. If you're drawing in the direction of an uptrend, then you start low, you end high. And you can do that several times. Anytime that you do have a low and a high, I found that it is valuable to know where the fibs are. They typically do get some nice plays off of them. Mr. Venegas is back. He's looking at NAS futures. Okay, daily and weekly. Okay. Let's see. Whoops, this is not right. Oh, wow. It's all the way over here. Same thing with most other things, right? I do think we could very easily see a bounce towards like 12.3. You're also on a weekly as well. But do I think that the long-term macro lows are in? Probably not. I do think that this one, at best, will come down to like 11,000. At worst, I think you might see like the whole 2020 rally undone, which is like, 9 to 10,000. I think that'd be a little bit more, obviously. But, same thing as SPY, right? It's like they all kind of move in together. So I do think that this one very likely comes down to 11,000 in the next like year to year and a half. Maybe even sooner than that rather than later, but short term, probably more bouncy than not. Again, bear market bounces are fucking nasty, man. This one is heavily fucking bearish below 14,300. So you can see some pretty aggressive bounces in the next few weeks if it wants to, but just be aware that long term it ain't reversing anytime soon, and probably does reach lower over time. Would be kind of my look on this one. The monthly right here. Many drives of bearish divergence, going all the way back here. 1, 2, 3, actually 4, technically. Monthly RSI is breaking what trend line you would have had, holding up the last few lows going back, or not the last few lows, but lows going all the way back to 2010. So to me, that's an indication that we've seen the end of this cycle, and this one very likely does correct further south over the macro before anything else. I mean, we're seeing volatility take up on the monthly on a clear breakdown. Divergences all around. Monthly jewel turned red basically like 2 months before the ultimate high was put in. Not good, man. So yeah, if it wants to bounce up even towards like 14,000 or 14.3, that's completely fine in the next couple months. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but still heavily bearish below there, man. I really want to see some weekly divergences at minimum before I start to look at macro lows here. Okay, cool. I think we're at the end of this one, man. Did you ever look at the Bitcoin chart? Yeah, that was actually like the first 20 minutes, which I'll post a video on that a little bit later today, or you can rewind and it'll still be there. I see Crypto Yellow Vest. What's up, man? Let's see. I think I'll just read through a few of these just to see if there's anything. It seems like political discussions probably not a good idea. Probably not a good idea to bring that up. One more. Okay, last to the last. Fuck it. Can you see Hex for on daily? Okay, last time we looked at Hex, we said a move back down to like 10, 11 cents was likely. Let's see if we got that move. I do remember that one. Yes. 10.95. Low on the week. Yes. I do think that this is pretty... I do think that this is actually... this one actually might be putting in a macro low at that 10 cent region, to be fair. But and I do think that's going to have a short-term bounce here. But I think at best you're doing something like this. I think at best you're doing something like this, where it's probably going to have a short-term bounce. And then if it can trade sideways like that and then trade specifically back above that 20 cents high, I would actually get massively bullish on Hex. By the same token, you know, it should be known, hidden bearish evidence is going to be possible. Again, I do think short term is very likely to bounce here, probably even maybe close to like 14, 15 cents. But the doomium is that, you know, you get another bounce, you get another lower high, and then specifically come back down below and close below 10.5 cents. At that point, I think you're probably looking closer to 6 to 7 cents or so long term. But, you know, keep in mind, this is, of course, a pretty nasty downtrend. So while it probably does bounce in the short term, if this one fails to kind of reclaim that 20 cent region, maybe by like end of summer, probably looking for more continuation of the downside. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, there's another one. Oh, Trent Stevenson says, you can check out QNT. Sure. QNT. Okay. Quant. No time frames given. All right. Where do we go? Quant. Actually, I think we need to go to Gemini for this one. Has a history. Nope, it does not. Well, at least for whatever history it does have, it didn't get. Yeah, I closed them. No time frames. I don't know what the fuck you want me to look at right here, man. I think that you've probably found around your range highs. Might trade a little bit further north towards like 80 bucks, and then probably plays out a bit of a range, something like this. Range highs, range lows. In this case, any sort of a break above 81.75, and I look for this one to take a nice leg up towards 90 bucks, maybe even as much as 100. Things get really crazy. Daily, I think you got a nice low in here for now. Short term, do you pull back first? Probably yes, maybe back down at 67 or 63. I will ping your message. Let's see. Yay. All right. And then FTM. Okay, Phantom. We can look at this one. We haven't looked at this one in a while, but I think it was in free fall last we looked at it, and yes, it was in free fall. Wow. Oh man. Yeah, a lot of these just got absolutely wrecked. Let's record this one for the last one of the day. Here we have Phantom symbol FTM versus the dog. We haven't looked at this one in a long time, and it's actually having a really good bounce here, relatively speaking. I do think that this one can trade up to, you know, just above like 50 cents maybe on this bounce, perhaps over the next like week or so. Short term, if you're on a 4 hour, I would be looking for a short-term pullback somewhere around about 40 to 42 cents or so. Play at a bit of a range. That's completely fine. I am generally looking for this one to trade sideways and up towards those general areas, as long as you're above specifically 28 cents on a 4 hour closing basis. Hourly, as you requested as well. Yeah, I'm looking for this one to trade a little bit more to the north side, like 42.5 to 44 cents or so. So far, so good. I think that the bounce essentially continues over the next few days, and then just be wary of the low 50s region. Long term, very intensely bearish, as long as you're below fucking 135. Dear Lord, man. But this one can bounce pretty damn hard. Let's see where momentum is pivoted here, just out of curiosity. 4 hour momentum is pivoted at 25.25. So yep, I do think that as long as that condition is being met, generally looking sideways and up here. Daily is also going to be pivoted at 26.5. Yep. So again, I'm looking for a corrective bounce here. Corrective bounces can trade up, you know, very easily to 50 cents. If things get a little bit more crazy, I'd be looking at 70 cents. And then if things get the most crazy, probably like $1. But long term, pretty damn bearish chart. Again, as long as you're below that like 130 pivot. So I do think, you know, over the next few weeks, probably sideways and try some upside, but do be wary of those regions. So hopefully that was helpful for Phantom, sir. Sweet. All right. We already looked at Solana. Can you look at HNT? I'm just curious what this highly esteemed piece of technology looks like. Helium. Looks like shit. Very, very terrible. But is it going to bounce alongside everything else? Probably yes. I think best it does to the upside over the next few weeks, if it even does this at all, is like $18. Long-term, absolute, total, 100% complete garbage as long as you're below $27. It's got a lot of work to do, man. Just got it. Just a 3x from here. Elsa Prada Fund. There you go. Hey, what's up, Yasek? Good morning to you, man. Chain. Actually, I would like to look at Chainlink myself, but this is gonna be the last one for the day, and then I'm calling it a day. Link. Wow, the LARP lines are at it again, I guess. Jesus, man. Yeah, that is just powerfully dreadful. Again, like most things, probably gonna rally up here. Wouldn't be asked for too much to see like $8.50 tested. Pretty damn ugly as long as you're below 14 long term. So hard chart to love for a long time here. Yeah. What about the monthly? Wow. That is, yeah, that's dreadful there. I do think you're generally going to bounce, probably bounces back up towards like maybe even $9-10. Doesn't really do all that much. Yeah. And then we come back to it after that. Maybe some hopium pulls through, maybe it doesn't, but you know, it's going to depend on mostly what Bitcoin does here. So, you know, I still think Bitcoin probably has some time, but doesn't mean that we can't play out a nice bounce-ola in between, you know, maybe over the next couple of weeks. I really only look for Bitcoin to pop back down and retest around its lows, see below about 28. Yeah, below about 28 is where problems start to happen. Short term, have we found some range highs here? Probably yes. I mean, we have hidden bearish divergence all the way up to a 4-hour formulating. Yep. Yeah, you're going to have that present as long as you're below about 32 and change there. But what's the highest time frame we got this hidden bearish divergence for? Yeah, 6 hour certainly has it. 12-hour will have it as well. I mean, generally, I think you're probably going to see a rally to 33 though in the next week or two. Short term, a bit of a range, however. All right, cool. I think that's good for today. It's been a lovely Friday. It's been a pretty intense week, but a very fun week as well, especially after the somewhat boring times of I would say mostly February and in March. But hopefully everyone's staying nice and safe. And with that said, I want to once again massively thank you for joining on the stream. It's been an absolute pleasure. Special thank you to, of course, our moderation squad as well. I see Nikki Page is Nikki Page is laying it down as always. Love it, absolutely fucking love it, and much love to everyone out there. I'm gonna be signing off now. We'll do another market uploads over the weekend, and then another live stream on Monday. With that said, take care. Elsa's waving in the background because she loves you, and we'll see you hopefully very soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, fix or pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it, pump